Well, guys, welcome to part two of our 5 more tips on what to look for with truck campers and campers just here in general in North America. If you haven't already watched part one, please head over there and go and check it out. And now we want to share our experience with you guys. So hopefully you don't make the same mistakes we do. And we just want to be able to see people get out there, enjoy this beautiful country. Hopefully just have that little bit less stress when looking to buy a setup fit for you. G'day mate, we are Bo and Maddie and our dog Luna, a couple of Aussies who spent 2 years travelling to some of the most remote corners Australia has to offer. We have now set our sights on something even bigger, Canada, all the way to Argentina and everything in between. Searching for the most wild places, unforgettable camps and everything this journey throws our way. We are chasing dreams and this is our biggest adventure yet. All right, what are we waiting for? Let's get stuck into it. Number one, the height of your rig. You need to think about what do you plan on doing if you are going for a truck camper? Are you going to try and get into those tighter trails? Are you going to try and just stick more to the parks and paved ways that are a lot easier to get into? Or do you want to try and push the limits? So you really want to think and consider how high your truck camper is going to be, and not just for going off-road. We have even found it really difficult to get into even just wash our truck, and they just don't have the facilities to fit us in. To be honest, we're not even that high. These are not far off stock wheels. It is stock suspension and we're already sitting at about 10'3", which is unbelievable. So we need to try and lower that a little bit just so we can get out there. We like to take the beaten track, and already we've found limitations. We're out here in this beautiful area at the moment and we've tried to take a few tracks and we've come very close. Personally, we want to see a track and just give it a try at trying to go down it. So we need to get especially that top heaviness down. It's got an aircon on there and it is aircon only, so we don't even need it right now. We've got all those big heavy cupboards up there and that's a lot of weight sitting up there on top, and you just feel it as you're going. It's quite rocky and bouncy. If you are seriously considering this as an option, just think about what you want. If you're going to stick to a paved path, maybe it doesn't really matter that much. That whole rocky, that whole upside, and you're not going on those articulation angles and things like that aren't going to matter as much. So take that time to learn and think about how you travel. Honestly, you don't want to make that mistake of buying the wrong camper and then all of a sudden down the track you go, no, I do want to try and take a little bit more of a beaten path, and we need to lower that footprint, lower the weight off the top. All right, moving on to the next one. Number two, wasting space. Inside there is a lot of wasted space, nooks and crannies that just aren't utilized very well, and sometimes even behind the boards that you don't even know is space sitting there to be utilized. But also to the fact of, I still have a gripe with how big these sinks are, mate. I don't know how many people we are going to try and feed when it's only got a bed for 2 people. There is no chance we have more than that. So why do we need a massive sink that's going to use so much water and take up so much prime prep space? I know you can have the board on top, but it just doesn't flow very well. And for such a small compact unit, it's more seems to be focused on that sort of person that wants a full-size caravan but then condensed into this tiny little 9-foot living area. Consider that when looking. I'm only talking about what we have here, and we've seen some terrible designs out there of how they lay everything out. So take your time and just think about how is it actually going to work. You know, Maddie and I in here, I'm a big guy and we cannot get past each other in our little walkway, and it doesn't seem like a big deal, and it's not like we have far to walk either, don't get me wrong, but you do have to climb out of the way to let that other person through, or you're really just squishing past. So to be comfortable and to think about it, just make sure it is right for you. We don't care. We love compact, small spaces. We even want to go smaller than what we have here, to be honest with you. But just think about utilizing that space properly, utilizing every little nook and cranny that is within that camper, and just being practical about how you are going to live in such a small space. Again, that sink, mate. What are they thinking? Something that I believe really gets overlooked here in Canada is battery capacity. I think a lot of people are thinking they're just going to plug in and the likes, but mate, you have such gorgeous campsites like this. Really think about having that battery capacity to stay out here, stay off grid, and keeping yourself out here in these beautiful places away from someone right next to you. Right now, I don't have anyone near us until past these trees that are in the distance, and it is the way I love it. And the only way we can do this is with battery capacity. And then another thing to lead off that would be solar. Having the battery capacity to run everything you need is such a massive thing, and you need to think about what you're going to run. We learnt the hard way, unfortunately, in winter, and we need to have that heater on 24/7, and it really chewed through the power and the propane every single day, and we had to run our generator just to top up that battery. Now thankfully we've got our Blue Eddy, which is a portable power bank, but back then when we first got here it was super difficult, and we were just constantly trying to chase battery power, whether we had to drive to charge it up, set the generator up, try and chase the sun wherever it was at the time during winter. If you are like us and you are going to do content or need to run a business online or anything like that, you want Starlink that chews through it. You want your laptops charged, you want cameras charged, you want your phone charged, you might want to run your TV. All those different things really add up a lot, and you need to make sure that within this truck camper that you have a box big enough to handle the battery capacity that you are thinking. I've personally always said that about 400 amps minimum, and that is absolute minimum. And I'm not even talking about running your air fryers yet or your induction cookers. Some people trying to run the aircon. I'm talking basics, 400 minimum. Here in Canada, I've been told multiple times, do not worry about solar. Honestly, worry about solar. Whether it's winter or in summer, mate, you are going to need it, because even in winter, we tried to chase the best warmer places we could within Canada, and there was a lot of days where we just weren't charging fast enough, and if we had more solar, we would have done it. That is going to come back to your payload being top heavy and everything, so think about it as an entire package. But solar on the roof, keeping you off grid, is such a massive thing these days, especially when we want to stay connected and have all the luxuries of home inside the camper. We need to keep our batteries topped up. Well, actually, that leads straight on to my next favorite one. There is so much on the roof over here with these things. A lot of people are putting in those skylights, they're putting in those maxi air fans, and also when you look at the bathroom, a lot of people are putting in these like fiberglass domes that go over the top, and you are just taking away all this precious space to be able to put solar up there and keep you off grid. It is mind-blowing to me that you don't just put the basics up there and think about plan out the whole system to be able to stay off grid. And also on another perspective of things being on the roof, we've had snow and rain a lot since we have been here in the last 5 months, and where does that all land? Straight on the roof. And if it sits there, pulls up, it finds its little crack in, mate, honestly, it's just a recipe for disaster, to be honest with you. You're gonna have to be up there checking your roof constantly over here. It is something that we're honestly just mind blown with, that they put so many holes, there's screws, there's all the silicon around, but it all has to be maintained. And that seems like such a weak link. So really think about what is being put on that roof, and is it 100% necessary? Personally, for me, if you've got a bathroom, I can't even stand up in ours properly now. So to be just tilting my head to have a shower, I would much prefer to do that than see them cut this big hole in the back of it and chuck a massive dome thing to add a few extra inches. Not a chance. I would prefer to have that fan that is there to draw that moisture out. Personally, having that many holes in the roof isn't something that I have considered until moving here and seeing how many they've put in there. Yeah, I'm over here. So really think about that from a long-term perspective, and whether you are truly going to stay up with maintenance and kept up to a standard that is going to look after your truck camper or camper in general. Seriously, whether you're considering one of these or a travel trailer, anything, consider what you are planning long term, because that frightens the heck out of me with so many holes in that roof. Okay, the next one. Now, you really have to think about what you are planning on doing again, but being fully self-contained. And I mean battery power, water, grey water, water and your black water. We thought that over here it might be a little bit more relaxed and a little bit easier to travel without having all that sort of stuff, but we certainly learned very quickly, even as soon as we picked up this camper, we ran out of power. We had to head straight to a caravan park, and that RV park still had to have us self-contained during winter just because of the pipes were freezing. They shut the toilets, they shut the showers, and you had to be maintained within your box. So thankfully we bought the right setup to be able to do that, which was great, to be honest. Otherwise we would have been up that creek without a paddle. For us personally, that is always something that we have always tried to make sure we have, just because we know that we want to get everywhere we certainly can, and we learnt the hard way in Australia. If we didn't have all that equipment on board to be able to be self-contained, there was a lot of spots we had to miss out on. So really consider your black water, your grey water, and how much water you have on board, because otherwise you might have to skip out on a few of those spots you wanted to check out. Back in our troopy days, mate, we honestly had to miss out on so many beautiful spots because we didn't have the required stuff to be able to do it. And some places wouldn't even allow us to have like a grey water portable tank that you could fill up and then take with you and dump away in the appropriate sandy dumps. You had to have it on board, properly collecting it, connected and plumbed in, not just a portable plastic tank. So something to be considerate of. Really think about your travel plans, what you are doing, and whether you are just going to go somewhere and plug in, but you still need to think about it. That blows my mind, that you are going to pay for a spot and still have to be self-contained within your spot. That's crazy. This could be a personal thing, to be honest with you, but my next one is, man, things are so outdated here. There are certainly a few companies paving the way for the future of North America, but overall, these campers are absolutely living in the stone ages, mate. Our truck camper here is something that I can't get over. This is a 2020 model, but it looks so much like the 2000 model that was built, and there really hasn't had much change. So as an interior and the aesthetics, mate, these are very much outdated. So if you are into something like that, think about it, because it isn't going to change unless you take all those cupboards out, paint it, and change the interior yourself. I just cannot believe that a 2020 camper is still brown and sort of a beigey color, and then all the cupboards are just wood. Yep, sometimes that color looks great and it does look beautiful if done well, but it is so dark. It is very outdated for the times of what could be. I always thought Australia was very far behind the times, but I'm very quickly learning that, especially in this niche space of travel and caravans, travel trailers, RVs, all that sort of stuff, Australia is far ahead of the times compared to over here. We are struggling to find half decent brands and half decent products like they have there, and I am now considering looking at bringing things from Australia to be able to do up our setups and products that we need to travel. As I said though, do your research. There are some fantastic brands out there that are bringing out some great looking products, some great looking fit outs, and hopefully in the future you'll start to see that, and the truck camper, RV, travel trailer space will start to change as they use better quality stuff, a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I know it's not everything, but this is our home on wheels, mate, and to be honest, like, we spend a lot of time in there, especially through winter, and it was very dark with that wood finish. So just something to be considerate of, and think about whether you want to update it yourself. But I thought we were going to see some real flash, some amazing setups, and I was very underwhelmed when we got here to see that it is just not the case. Well, there you have it. There is another 5, well, tricked you, 6 more tips for you guys when thinking about purchasing a truck camper. We have certainly learnt the hard way throughout the years. We have had many setups, whether that's a swag. We've done the big 20-foot caravan, which isn't that big over here in North America, I get it. 12-foot caravans, pop tops. We've done a truck camper now. We've done a rooftop tent. We have done so much, and we try to do our best to try everything, because I love learning about this whole lifestyle and I want to share our experiences as we travel and hopefully help people get out there and enjoy the beautiful country that they live. I understand that it is certainly overwhelming. I've been researching for a long time and I still haven't got our setup right. We are looking to change because this isn't right for us. I know the pinnacle brand within North America of truck camping is not right for us. Can you believe it? If you haven't already watched part one, please go over and watch it, and hopefully that can add a few more to your list of things to think about when buying one of these setups for yourself to get out here and enjoy these beautiful countries that we are so privileged to have as our backyards. I still pinch myself that this is our backyard right now. We can't do this without you, without your support. We don't get to continue life on the road and share our experiences and our knowledge. So we thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of the journey. You are an absolute bloody legend. We'll catch you next time, wherever we may be. Thanks for being here, mate.